When a major national event like this happens, the first few hours, even days, are just chaotic. There's so much information flying around. So, what we're going to do here is break down what we actually know about the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, sticking to the facts as they were reported. Let's get right into it.
And we're going to start right here with this incredibly powerful and direct statement from Utah's governor, Spencer Cox. He said, "I want to be very clear that this is a political assassination." Right from the jump, that one sentence set the tone for how officials were seeing this. No ambiguity, no, we're looking into motives. They called it what they believed it was.
So to really understand the full picture, we have to start at the beginning, with exactly what happened on the ground that day in Utah.
Okay, so here are the core facts. The date was September 10th, 2025. The victim, of course, Charlie Kirk, the well-known founder of Turning Point USA. And the location? It was an outdoor prove-me-wrong style debate he was holding right on the campus of Utah Valley University. There were about 3,000 people there.
Now, the physical layout of the attack is absolutely key to understanding this. Investigators quickly figured out that the single shot came from the roof of a nearby building, the Lucy Center. We're talking a distance of about 400 feet. A shot from that far away tells you this wasn't some random spur-of-the-moment act. It suggests skill, it suggests planning.
And it's pretty incredible how precisely law enforcement was able to piece together the shooter's movements. They figure the suspect got to campus just before noon, was up on that roof by 12:10, and then fired that fatal shot at 12:23. Then, in the chaos that followed, they jumped from the roof and just disappeared into a nearby neighborhood. And that's when the manhunt began. The attack itself was over in an instant, but the response, well, that exploded into this massive nationwide effort. The question immediately shifted from what happened to who did this. And yeah, that became the one question driving everything. Who was this person? And how on earth did they just vanish? This kicked off one of the biggest investigations the country has seen in years. Luckily for investigators, they weren't starting from scratch. They found the weapon, a high-powered bolt-action rifle. And even better, they found a trail of clues, palm prints, and even forearm imprints up on the roof, a clear shoe print from a pair of Converse, and what officials described as good video footage of the suspect's escape. These were the puzzle pieces they had to work with. The public response was just overwhelming in a good way. The FBI was absolutely flooded with tips, over 7,000 of them. To put that in perspective, that's the most the Bureau had gotten for a single event since the Boston Marathon bombing. The entire country was watching. And to keep that information flowing, the FBI put a huge number on the table, a $100,000 reward for any information that led to an arrest. It was a clear signal of just how desperately they wanted to find this person.
And then there's this. In the middle of this incredibly tense and serious manhunt, you get this truly bizarre side note. A guy in a lab coat literally snuck past the crime scene tape to take videos and a selfie. He was, of course, arrested. Just a completely surreal moment in an already unbelievable story. So while this massive investigation was kicking into high gear, the political world was, as you can imagine, absolutely reeling. The assassination of such a major political figure set off this firestorm of reactions from leaders all across the spectrum. President Trump's response was immediate and direct. He didn't mince words. He squarely blamed political rhetoric, saying that people on the radical left had been comparing conservatives like Charlie to Nazis for years, and that this kind of language was, quote, directly responsible for the terrorism. Coming from a different perspective, you have former President Barack Obama. He focused his condemnation squarely on the act of violence itself. He called it despicable and made the point that no matter what someone's politics are, this kind of violence simply has no place in our democracy. Meanwhile, the top Democrats in Congress, Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, they put out a joint statement calling for unity. Their message was pretty clear. This is a moment to come together as Americans, not a time for pointing fingers or assigning blame. In the days that followed, proposals quickly came forward to honor Charlie Kirk's memory. President Trump announced he'd be posthumously awarding Kirk the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is the highest honor a civilian can receive. At the same time, over in Congress, Representative Nancy Mace introduced a resolution for Kirk to lie in honor in the Capitol Rotunda, a tribute that's typically reserved for presidents and other towering national figures.
The impact of an event like this isn't just political. It's real and it's tangible. It sent this shockwave of fear across the country that changed public life almost overnight. And that's really the crucial point here, the immediate chilling effect it had. Out of an abundance of caution, Senator Ruben Gallego postponed a town hall. A Ben Shapiro book signing got canceled. Even President Trump's 9/11 speech at the Pentagon was moved indoors for security. And of course, the university where it all happened shut down its campus for several days. You can really feel how personal that fear was for other public figures. Utah Senator John Curtis just came right out and said it. "I'm not going to lie, I'm going to think twice next time I'm in the major parade." It's a really stark admission of that new sense of vulnerability. And the ripples spread even further than you might think, all the way to the top of the U.S. military. The Pentagon actually had to issue warnings to all service members, making it clear that celebrating or even mocking the assassination was, quote, unacceptable and totally inconsistent with military values. That shows you how worried leaders were about division, even within their own ranks. And all of this, it leaves us with this final, incredibly difficult question. This event sits right at that horrifying intersection of political rhetoric and real-world violence. It's forcing the entire country to confront a question that has no simple answer. When words cross that line into deadly action, where does a nation even begin to go from there?